It's Fully Threaded Radio Special Report.
Hi everyone, Eric Dudas with you, Fully Threaded Radio Special Report. It's late March 2025, and there's plenty of headlines in the fastener industry, but the tariffs are still at the top. Lots of confusion still, and many letters flying around up and down the supply chain. But it's been a challenge to get people to speak on the record. But I reached out to Jason Baines up there in Canada. He runs J.Lanfranco, and this is a conversation that we had recently. He expresses some of his thoughts, the way he's looking at this, as well as the political situation up there and how that may impact what we'll see in the coming months. Of course, nobody knows for sure, but it's very helpful, I think, to get as many perspectives as you can. And I think as time goes on, as we see materially how this unfolds, more people will be speaking out. Also, as a point of reference, when news of the coming tariffs first started swirling around, we added a supplemental question to the Fastener Distributor Index survey, and we released that report in December. In case you don't recall, at that time, of all the participants of the survey, about 66% supported, to one extent or another, implementation of tariffs, and on the other side, 40% firmly did not support. Now that they're a reality, of course, not really sure what to think. Maybe we need to revisit that question again on the FDI. One of the things I like about this conversation with Jason is his truly authentic view of how we should all be working together to make the best of this, because pretty much everybody involved is in a reactionary position. Most of us don't have any influence over these events whatsoever, so we're making the best of it that we can. So I hope you get something out of it. The title sponsors of Fully Threaded Radio are Brighton Best International, Global Fasteners, and Star Stainless. Fully Threaded Radio is also sponsored by Buckeye Fasteners, BTM Manufacturing, Eurolink Fastener Supply Service, Fastener Technology International, InSequel Software, J.Lanfranco, Solution Industries, Volt Industrial Plastics, and Worth Industry USA. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast, folks. Here's this conversation with Jason Baines of J.Lanfranco. So I'm back from the Pac West last week and spoke to several of our Canadian friends. Jason Baines, you were not there. However, I know your heart is on this side of the border. A lot going on, huh?
Yeah, there's a ton going on. It's interesting times that we live in, and I think this is going to be something that's going to leave us all with a couple of scars, but we'll come out of it with more knowledge and experience, and I think it'll make us the better for it.
Overall, working with your vendors, suppliers, and so forth up there, what's the sentiment? I mean, I think we kind of get a sense, but it's nice to hear it from somebody who's actually up there.
I think the sentiment is, it's evolving. I think a lot of people up here, Canadians in general, really thought that we were going to find some common ground, of which there is a lot, and Canadians really feel a connection to Americans. We work together, we vacation together, and there's a long history of military action together. So I think people really feel at this point very, very surprised and shocked. They were trying to make the changes up here. People recognized that some changes needed to be made and make improvements around the border. And of course, everybody cares about fentanyl. And so as the tariffs have come in when they were suspended initially, I think there was a sense of, okay, yeah, we're going to figure this out. Now that they're being fully implemented, Canadians are kind of digging their heels in, and I guess I'm on the fence right now. I understand people are frustrated. I'm frustrated too, because this affects us and ultimately affects our customers, and we've done a lot to kind of mitigate that. I think that unfortunately, people are getting caught up in these early days, and you're hearing a lot of elbows up, which is a hockey term, and a lot of people proud to say, "I'm not drinking bourbon," or "I'm not going to get orange juice," and kind of we're gonna show them. And I think I think it's a really slippery slope, to be honest. And I think people don't recognize or maybe understand just how deep this relationship is between the U.S. and Canada. So it's starting to get a lot more tense. Canadians are proud people, and they're digging in. You're seeing the stores say, buy Canadian American products getting pulled. I mean, I find this all really unfortunate, and I really find it unfortunate the sentiment that's starting to occur where we gotta solve this quick, or there's going to be I think a lingering sense of distrust. And there's a lot of things to discuss, but let's discuss them. So the sentiment up here, it's people are starting to get worried. We got a local steel wire mill, Ivaco. They've got layoffs happening. There's going to start to be job losses. People are now getting really, really worried about job security, and people are getting frustrated. And I think what I find the most unfortunate, I guess, to distill it down to one thing, is an erosion of this trust and belief in this really deep-rooted relationship that we've had forever. But yeah, it's getting tedious up here. People are feeling the crunch, and it's certainly not a good vibe. So I guess that's the roundabout way of saying it's not too nice up here. People are getting their hackles up. But now that initial let's get our elbows up, dig in our heels, and we're going to show them is being replaced by real worry. Yeah, that's how I see it. But again, I'm in a community that is seeing job losses, and also somebody that works tremendously with, I've spent 25 years of my life working with the US, and I cherish that relationship. There's a way forward. So let's get these people sitting down and let's go. And that'll happen when we've got a government with a mandate up here.
Okay, so that segues us into my next topic area. There's lots going on up in Canada with the onset of these tariffs. Meanwhile, you just replaced your government. I mean, it's hard to give a 2-minute snapshot of that, Jason. I appreciate that. But does the new government, or the possibility of forming one, does that represent any optimism in this for you?
I think it does, depending on, I think, yes, it does, in short. And, the quick notes is that Canada has a parliamentary system, and the fundamental difference between how we have a prime minister and the US has a president is that the governing party, whoever is the leader of the elected party, the governing party, that is who the prime minister will be. So Justin Trudeau resigned. Prior to resigning, he shut down our government, or prorogued it, because there's another investigation he didn't want to participate with. They were requesting documents, so you can prorogue Parliament and hit the pause button. So Parliament shut down, nothing can happen. And in that time, they had a leadership race, and they've selected Mark Carney, who's the ex-governor of Bank of Canada and the Bank of England, as their new leader. And as the new leader, he becomes automatically the prime minister, even though he has not been elected to our House of Commons. Kind of be like, I guess, your House of Representatives rolled in. And he's been the economic advisor to Justin Trudeau and the Liberal government since 2020. There's a lot of similarities. He has a lot of the same core beliefs as Trudeau and the Liberals. And his past life, though, up until recently, he was the head of Brookfield. And so he's a business guy. He's managed these large funds, and Brookfield moved its headquarters from Toronto to New York. And Trump says that he preferred to deal with him than our conservative candidate up here, Poilievre, who I kind of think that what Poilievre wants to do is in line with what I think the U.S. is doing, which is to have more domestic production of the things we're good at, like oil and gas, resource extraction and such. So I think at the end of all of this, whether we have a conservative or liberal government up here, I think a government with a clear mandate is what's going to then allow the U.S. to have confidence to negotiate a deal. And I think until that happens, I don't see there being a big rush to say we're going to negotiate with a government that may not be in power in 4 weeks. So I think that's holding it up.
How long did you say you expect that to take for that to firm up?
Well, the at its earliest, they're saying that if there was an announcement to say we're going to have an election, if they were to announce that this week, probably late April would be the earliest that an election could be held. And this comes into our kind of our parliamentary rules and whatnot. How many you need a minimum number of days, and this needs to follow certain procedures. But people are guessing late April. My only misgiving is, I think, like all governments that are in power, if the Liberals can manipulate the rules and they just use them, within the boundaries of the laws, if they can use them to push this out, they may well do it, because right now, the sentiment, right, which is very hackles up. We can't believe this is happening, and we're angry. They're frustrated with Donald Trump. It's helping the Liberals climb in the polls right now. So they may want to try and push this a little longer to gain more support. But I think by late April, we're hoping that there'll be an election. And as I say, whether you're a fan of either party at this point, I think what's important is that Canadians give a renewed mandate. Okay, here's the government. Here's the government we voted for the next 4 years, and now they've got that mandate and confidence to go negotiate. And Trump's going to look at that and say, okay, here's the government I'm working with for the next 4 years. And so we're hoping that that happens. I mean, and the funny thing is, Eric, anything can happen before that, though, as we've seen. There's maybe a much bigger strategy at play here that we don't all understand or see right now, and maybe we wake up next week and some of this is resolved.
Well, I think that's exactly what a lot of people believe and are hoping and actually expecting, to tell you the truth, Jason. I think you hit it on the head. Well, thanks for that analysis. And it's murky waters for sure, but I knew that you would have thoughts on it. What message do you have for your American customers? And as a follow-on to that, are you still planning on being at Fastener Fair in Vegas?
Yeah, for us, it's business as usual. And the one caveat to that is, we took this talk of potential tariffs seriously. We have product out of Canada. We have product out of the European Union, out of France, and of course, what we've been doing is investing in developing J.Lanfranco USA. We got a warehouse in New Jersey, and we've got a kind of contract manufacturing there for some products that require U.S. steel. So what we started to do at the end of 2024 and right away in January is we started moving a lot of inventory down there to ensure our customers wouldn't be affected. And I mean a lot of inventory. We also looked at just diversifying some of our supply chains, having more domestic sources available. And then we got really aggressive on whatever we could do, what's in our control, looking at, how do we get aggressive on our, we expected that the Canadian dollar would take a hit. So what can we do in terms of foreign exchange to shore things up? And all of this was done with the goal of mitigating any impact of potential tariffs on our customers. And so the message we've come out with that we're going to actually be pushing today is any of our customers in the U.S. who work with our office here in Canada, all of our open orders, all of our future orders going forward, they're going to be treated out of J.Lanfranco USA, so that they're not going to be faced with the uncertainty of a tariff bill. And because we've been so aggressive with front-loading inventory, diversifying supply chain where we could, and then the last component of this is, I came in this business green. The American market has been very good to me and our company, and has been loyal, and they've invested in us, and it's time for us to invest in them. So we're taking on a good chunk of some of the tariff, and so we're going to just be coming out with a very small tariff surcharge and we've limited it. You know, just we're going to be probably right around 8%, and that's only going to be there while the tariffs are there. And so we've worked really, really hard to be aggressive and prepared. And the message is, everybody's the same person they were before this started. And this is a negotiation between governments. This is not a reflection of the relationships and the loyalty and the confidence that's been established for me over the last 25 years. So, you know what? It's time to step up, because this is temporary. And I do really believe we're going to figure this out, because we have figured out so many other things that are far more impactful, than this. There's been world wars. There's been Afghanistan and Iraq, and we've gone through natural disasters. I mean, when the fires happened in California, there were Canadian water bombers down there, even with the talk of tariffs. So, like,
Right.
when you're family and friends, need help, you're there. And I believe this is temporary. And we're putting our money where our mouth is, and we're investing in our customers, because we know that no one can really shoulder this all on their own, right? So we look at it as, we've built this business together, so let's navigate this together, share the load. And of course, I mean, look, if this continues a year from now, it's going to be a different story. We'll have to reevaluate, but business as usual. And I see this as an opportunity, right? This is an opportunity for good companies and good people to support their customers, and vice versa, and work together, because at the end of the day, what's most important is a surety of supply. Okay. And to make sure that the manufacturers who are using parts can continue to build stuff. And I don't agree with any politician 100% of the time, but like, we got Doug Ford up here, who I didn't like him threatening to turn off the electricity, but he said, let's build an AMCAN fortress. And I think that's what's going to happen at the end of this. But
Well, hey, hang on. I got to stop you. The AMCAN comment there. Hans Fuller was walking around the Pac West last week with a name badge that it said, Ontario, Canada, and next to it said 51st question mark.
I think, I don't think we're ever going to become the 51st state. I think it's look, it's a joke that most people up here, I would say it's wearing thin. Nobody
I would
wants to
expect
hear
so.
that. Yeah, it's wearing thin. Nobody wants to hear that. And I really do think this is about strengthening what we have here. And I look at it, it makes too much sense for us not to be finding a way to work together. We've got the most of everything. When we put all of our chips in the middle of the table together, we got it all. And, a variety is the spice of life, right? And I would just caution everybody. There's a great thing on TikTok. It shows it's got Trump there, and in the background it's like 5 feet of snow, and it's a French Canadian, it's a Montrealer swearing in French nonstop, and it says, if you take all of Canada, you've got to take all of Quebec too. and like, we're not.
Nobody wants that, eh?
It's not. I say that in tongue in cheek, because I'm that's my hometown is Montreal. But yeah, you got to take all of us. So let us, let us deal with our stuff up here. And I mean, I really think we're going to get through it. But I do think it's really critical right now for everybody to take a step back and think about all the great stuff that's happened up until now, all the great stuff that can happen afterwards, and just how do we get through this. And I think we get through this by working together. And so for us, that means sharing in the cost of these tariffs, doing the things we've done to control it as much as possible, to reduce the impact, and just communicate every day. We're talking to our customers, and we're being very, very flexible. I think the biggest challenge in all of this is, dealing with the customs agents. The amount of questions and paperwork we're getting asked for, that is intense. And I bet you if we got our politicians to go through the hoops of fire we are right now, they'd say, "Oh my goodness, yeah, let's get this solved now." So hopefully, what's going to happen is the snow's going to melt, things are going to thaw, the sun's going to come out. I'd say let's get everyone together with a cold beer, but I know Trump doesn't drink, so maybe it's get together with a Big Mac and Coca-Cola and figure it out, and let's get back to work, right?
Well, that's what people love about you, Jason. And I have to say, in about Canadians in general, you're generally good-hearted people, good-natured people, and thank you for being that way. Well, I know you have to jump, and so I just want to pin you down here. Is that to say J.Lanfranco will be at Fastener Fair in
We are
Vegas this year?
not only are we're going to be at all of the fastener shows.
All right.
I sat down with my team yesterday and I said, "Look, we're not slowing down. It is business as usual, full steam ahead. Um, there's no change for us, right? I believe people need good quality parts. They want to work with good people, and and that's it. I know it. I mean, I've spoken to everyone. People have been, and you know what? People have been really generous in sharing other points of views and information with me, right? So, Carmen Vertulo, he sent me a little thing on the copper in the U.S. and just information, which you know what? That's what it comes down to: communication, and maybe that's what our politicians can take a lesson from us is just keep talking, keep communicating. So yes, we will be at all of the fastener shows. We will be at all of our regular shows. The exciting thing for you is we've got a brand new Lanfranco 50th anniversary hockey jerseys. We got those made up, and they're in a beautiful color with the laces on the front, and it's got a number 25 on the back, and it says Canada on it. We're making some U.S. jerseys as well. So when I see you, I'll have one for you and Brian, and we're going to raffle some of those off. So no, we're all in on this. We're going to be there with new swag. Our hope is we up our swag game so we can kind of give some competition to the U-Bolt coffee, right? And just see if we can not get a little bit more attention on us and away from the coffee guys.
There you
So
go. Hey, nothing a little good-natured body slam can't solve, Jason.
no, we're Eric. We are all in, and yeah, we're going to be there. We invite everyone to come out and see us. These things are so important for the industry, and I think I think the future is bright. We're just you know what, we're in a corner right now. Our job is just to keep you keep moving your feet, you keep churning, and things are going to turn around. And I've got confidence in both sides on this because I do think that Canadians and Americans, at the end of the day, we have so many shared values. We're trying to do the best we can, but we will be very happy and relieved once this all gets worked out.
Jason Baines, J.Lanfranco, thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Eric. Take care.
Fully Threaded Radio is a production of Fasteners Clearinghouse.